Oh, hey there. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Reverend Rock and Roll and founder, pastor, spiritual advisor of the Church of Elvis and even more Latter-day Saints. What a video we have for you today. Today's video is influenced by the great channel Static Traveler, hosted by Alan. One of the most incredible people in the vinyl community, always bringing up the best topics. The man travels by static, for the love of God. I've seen it. Now, his latest video was about true genius. Who brings true genius to the music we love? And Alan brought up some incredible examples. I have an example too, and we're going to get to it. But I think it's important that we now say here at the Church of Elvis and even more Latter-day Saints that we're Anglophiles. We're comfortable saying that now. We weren't always, but we're Anglophiles. In fact, we're more Anglophiles than we are audiophiles, if I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to let you on a little secret. In order to be a member of the Church of Elvis and even more Latter-day Saints, you have to read this book. Look at the size of that son of a bitch. Look at that. And you're tested. Oral, multiple choice, essay. And you have to pick out one battle in this book, put on a mock battle for current members of the church to grade and judge. That's how serious we take it. Now, Alan is such a deep thinker, is such a man of seriousness. I remember watching one of his videos where he talked about some time ago, he smoked a little grass and heard a little bird. Just heard a little bird. I don't have much to add to that, but I watched it. But his current video on Genius is very good. I thought the other one was too. But watch it. Subscribe to his channel. And we know so many people and events in British culture have shaped this flat earth we're on. You have things like Stonehenge. It's incredible. Edward the Confessor. William the Conqueror, 1066. An event that changed the history of Western civilization. We speak French words because of that shit, for the love of God. Big deal, man. Charles Darwin. Sir Isaac Newton. Horatio Nelson. Winston Churchill. Penn Derrick. These are people that have changed our culture for the better most of the time. But it's important that we put these things in perspective as I get on to talk about pop rock and the British genius I'm going to talk about. It's important we take a moment to acknowledge the massive impact on rock and roll and pop music the British have had all around this flat earth. And you have the obvious actors, of course. The Kinks, the Stones, the Beatles, the Clash, Ned's Atomic Dustbin. Don't sleep on Ned's, baby. Intact's a great song. There will be no Ned's Atomic Dustbin slander on my channel. But the impact is enormous. But look, I always said I'd be honest, and I'll be honest with you. I still don't know what the fuck a skiffle band is. What's a skiffle band? Okay? Every band, apparently, in England, goes through some skiffle phase. All right? I don't know if it means you're playing drums on top of Heinz beans cans. You're banging coal together. You're playing on washboards. I don't know. So this leads me to this. Blur, if you're watching. Blur, I demand you release your skiffle sessions, you cowards. The Spice Girls did. Release the skiffle sessions, Blur! I mean, where I grew up, skiffle was something you got when you went on spring break in Palm Springs in the 80s, baby. You get a Z-Pack on that shit, 911. Leave on vacation, come home on probation. Those were the days. It was a rite of passage. We lived it. But before I had to get on to my genius of British pop and rock and roll, I had to undeniably talk about the influence, generally, they've had on the music we love. Let's get on to the hero. Delicious. I had to change lighting. I apologize. Okay, we're finally going to get to our genius. Thanks to Alan at Static Traveler. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. You can probably tell our hero Our genius was in the Smiths, and we're not talking about Morrissey. Oh, no, 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 no. We're talking about the great Johnny Marr. Johnny Marr is one of the greatest pop rock guitarists of all time. I don't care what you think. Argue with your Starbucks barista. He just is. It just wasn't that his sound in the early 80s was so refreshing and unique. And it was. He took these influences from funk and disco, chic, Niles Rodgers, his love of rockabilly. He loved Robert Smith's guitar playing in The Cure. And he made it his own. But again, it wasn't just the sound. No one else could do it. To paraphrase Noel Gallagher, Johnny Marr isn't as good as Johnny Marr. And like all things Noel says, they make no sense and all the sense at the same time. I feel like that's an Irish thing, his Irish roots thing. He does this thing, Johnny Marr, where if you play guitar and play music, in pop music, your mind naturally wants to resolve things. There's a formula behind this. But he adds these extra notes and flourishes, often that were on overdubs, to make the sound, particularly live, watch him play live, to sound full yet light at the same time. You feel like sometimes he's playing 12 strings when he isn't. Although I know he did play 12-string guitars. But it's just remarkable. He does these, what I call, and I don't even know if this is a real term, like ghost time changes, where you think the time changed in the music, but it hasn't. It was just his playing. He just does these frills that are so tasteful. They're not, what's the word? They're not selfish. They're all part of the song. And I think he's such a thoughtful, interesting guy, and such a contrast to Morrissey with his upbeatness, that I feel like he approaches pop songs as a puzzle. And he brings in these influences, he brings in these ideas into a bigger idea and moves them around with pleasure. Because when you watch him live, he always looks like $1,000,000, and he's effortless, he's efficient. And to add those great parts in the overdub to the live playing, watch him live. He's really, really remarkable. Now, I have a hot take. I haven't read a lot of books. I think I have average, above average knowledge about the Smiths. Without Johnny Marr, I don't know if we know who Morrissey is. And again, someone might have said this before. But without Morrissey, I still think we know who Johnny Marr is. He was just too clever, too talented, too driven for us have not to known him to be in another band that he formed or another band that he was part of that was remarkable. Maybe we don't know him to the level that we know the Smiths, but he's that good. And we're going to do a tiny bit experiment here. Robert Sheffield, a great rock and roll journalist from Rolling Stone, been there a long time, written a ton of great articles, ranked his top 73 Smith songs of all time. And his very last one, last place, number 73, is Accept Yourself on this album. And Morrissey's particularly bad on that song. He complains about his shoes. And Sheffield jokingly refers to it as kind of a Captain Tennille ripoff, which is really funny. But Johnny Marr is incredible on that song. Absolutely incredible. Because Morrissey at times will have such poor phrasing that to make up for such poor phrasing, he just says words and words and words and words. And as a guitarist, and as a great band the Smiths were, that can be difficult to stand out when someone just sucks all the air out of a song. But Johnny Marr does something so incredible in that song with some jazz phrasings that make up for the poor phrasing of Morrissey, that make Johnny Marr and the band stick out, even though Morrissey just doesn't even seem to be in the same room with them, doesn't seem to be on the same page with his phrasing and lyrics. And it's still, there's a thread on Reddit that is a Accept Yourself appreciation thread, and people wondering why that song gets bashed by critics over and over and over. And I think it's a bit charming, no pun intended, that there is, because I love the song. It's not the greatest song, but it's a pretty cool song. And I'll link to a live version of it, and you'll see what I'm talking about, Johnny Marr. So my genius in music and pop rock that adds so much to music and his band is Johnny Marr. Hope you have a good day. Take care.
Masterpiece Theatre is made possible by a grant from Mobil Corporation, which invites you to join with them in supporting your local public television station.